Hello, dear friends. I would like to mention some things that I said on the last day of Passover in the synagogue in Jerusalem. The seventh day of Pesach, of Passover, we commemorate the crossing of the Red Sea. And it's quite a dramatic thing, the crossing of the Red Sea. The Israelites, a massive amount of people, according to the book of Numbers, Bamidbar, there are at least 600,000 men between the ages of 20 and 60 are accounted for the army. Add to that children, add to that women who normally are slightly more than men. You have close to 2 million people that are maybe 1.5 million that left Egypt. And there was the mixed multitude, the Arab Rav, lots of people. And they're running away. And then the Egyptians say, what do? We let them go. Then Pharaoh and all his men, they get out and they take their chariots and their horses and they ran after the Israelites. Now, we always thought that the Israelites look back and they see that Egypt is coming behind them. They get nervous. They can hear from a distance, but it's coming quick. Maybe they heard from a long distance because there was lots of people. And according to the Midrash, they have time to deliberate, time to think. And when a person is standing before adversity, when a person is standing in times of just duress, and they have time to think, sometimes we try to figure out what to do, but sometimes we lose it. And that's when the arguments start. Maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do that. And then sometimes the argumentation becomes divisions, it becomes fights, which is a good way to lose against an enemy. So the Jerusalem Talmud and Ta'anit, and also the Mechilta, and the Mechilta says, and I will quote it. If you want, I can show it in front of you for those who understand Hebrew. This is the Jerusalem Talmud, Ta'anit, chapter 2, halacha 5. Talmud says there were 4 groups of people among our ancestors who approached the sea as the Egyptians were coming from the back. Group number 1 said, you know what? Nothing's happening. The sea's in front of us. The Egyptians are behind us. This is the end. Let's jump in. Which means, what can we do? If it doesn't open, we'll drown. That'll be the end of it. What can you do? We don't want to be killed by the Egyptians. Group number 2 says, no, let's go back to Egypt. Maybe we could talk to them. Maybe make a deal. We'll make peace. Maybe they won't be so rough with us. They'll let us stay there as slaves again. After all, they need us. Go back to Egypt. Third group says, no, we'll fight them. We'll fight to the death if necessary, but we will fight them. And group number 4 says, no, we will stand and scream, which means we'll scream out to God. Maybe he'll help us, but we will scream. So what did Moses say to them? To these 4 groups, according to this Talmud Yerushalmi. Ones who said, let's jump into the sea. Moses says to them, no, you will stand up and you will watch God's salvation. Don't give up. Number 2, ones who said, we'll go back to Egypt. Moses said to them, when you saw the Egyptians today, you will never see them again. Number 3, those who say, okay, let's fight with them. Moses says to them, God will do the fighting, you shall be quiet. And for the ones who say we will scream, Moses said, again, God will do the fighting and you will keep quiet. Those are the 4 different groups. In 1947, my father gave a sermon on the 7th day of Passover in Montreal. And he talked about these groups and their response, how Jews responded to the Shoah, to the Holocaust, the difficult time in our history. Also about 4 different groups and the way they saw it. And I would say today also, when now in April, May of well, of course, it was April at the time, April of 2024. We're still in the war with the Hamas in the south, with the Hezbollah in the north, with Iran, the Houthis. There are also different people who have different ideas. You could also find them in these categories. Those who are in despair. We can't live our whole lives in war. If everybody hates us, we'll go disappear somehow. Go to Cyprus, we'll go to Greece, we'll go to London, we'll go to Australia. Some people just want to get away. We can't deal with it anymore. And they go into despair, or they just go into depression, don't go anywhere. Jump into the sea. And there are those who say, let's go back to Egypt. In other words, we'll talk to the Palestinians. They couldn't be that bad. Maybe we want a peace deal. We'll get the Americans involved. We'll give them some land. Isn't that what they want? Of course, they never said that that's what they want, but maybe we convince them that that'll be what they want. And that's it. We'll do another peace deal. Didn't the Oslo Accords work fine? Not really, but okay, we'll make a peace deal. That's another type of hopelessness. And then there's a third group. Because let's just fight everybody. We'll fight the whole world. We die, we'll just fight, but at least we'll go down fighting. The Warsaw Ghetto uprising. Yes, if you're in the Warsaw Ghetto and you don't have the means and you know they're going to kill you anyhow, you can fight. But if you use your logic and you use your head, not just belief, of course you need belief, but you need to use your head too and know how to use war. War, in the end of the day, is a means to an end. It has to be used as a tool in the right way. And these are like ultra-nationalists. It's just fight, everybody fight. There is something to say about that, but everything within proportion, within its right time. And then the fourth group says, let's just scream, we'll just pray. It's not about the army. If we pray to God, God will help us. Of course, God will help us if we pray, but God helps those who help themselves. You also have an army. You also have to do hasbara and explanations of what you're doing so people know what's going on. Even if there are other voices out there, you have to keep reiterating the justice of your cause and explain your position. You have to talk also with other countries and explain your position. Most of the time they know. They're just afraid because they're democracies. They're afraid that people might sway, and because of the fake news out there. But anyhow, you have to stand your position. So all these despairs are wrong. You have to have your plan, your faith, your army, your explanatory, your hasbara, your connections, and all together. And people will see the justice of your cause, and you go forward. But it's interesting how in Yam Suf, on the Red Sea, the people were just as mixed up. And nobody wanted to jump in, according to the Midrash. They were all afraid, what are we supposed to do? You know, when there's time, so a little bit of a lull, we can argue. That's always the best thing to do, right? And then Nachshon ben Aminadav, who married Aaron's sister, Elisheva, one of the heads of the tribes, says, I'm going in. God said we go in, I'm going. And he walks into the water. And now the water is up to his knees. The sea doesn't split. And now the water is up to his waist. And the sea doesn't split. Now the water is up to his shoulders. The sea doesn't split. And then the water gets up to his nose. And the sea splits. There's actually another place in the Talmud in Sota, the Talmud says that when the Jews in general went into the water up to their necks, that's when the sea split. You have to show both faith and you're willing to take the risk. When God says you go into the sea and Moses says you go forward, you go. And when we do, God will help us. But he waits for you to make that move. You have to take that initiative. You have to take that leap of faith into Yam Suf, into the Red Sea, for it to divide. And so too are the things in life in general. As a people, we've known a lot of times of adversity. But we have to have faith, and we have to have action, and we have to put them together. And we have to believe in the righteousness of our cause. The Talmud in Sota, page 30, says, how did the Jews sing the song of the sea? The Az Yashir, the song of the sea, which is mentioned in Parshat B'Shalach, which we read on the seventh day of Passover. So the first opinion is Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says Moses led, and all the people came back with just a refrain, like we do in the Hallel. In the Hallel, the cantor says all four stanzas, Hodul Hashem Kitov, then the people come back with the refrain, Hodul Hashem Kitov, praises God because he does good. Then the cantor says, the Chazan says, Yomar na Yisrael kolam chasto, and then the people say again the same refrain, Hodul Hashem Kitov kolam chasto, meaning the cantor says the four lines, and we only say the first one 4 times. So he says that's what Moses did. Moses, the people said, Shul Hashem Yigaoga, we'll sing to God because he has been exalted. And Moses said the rest of the song of the sea, and each time the people came back with that same refrain, Shir Hashem Kigaga. The second opinion Rabbi Lezer, who said, the son of Rabbi Yossi Aglili, says, no, it's like the way you teach a child. Moses said the first sentence, then they repeated. Moses said the second sentence, the people repeated. He said the third verse, the people repeated, and that's the way it went. So it was Moses leading the people in repetition. And the third opinion is that what Moses did, the opinion of Rabbi Nehemiah, said, no, it's like reading the Shema. The Chazan, the cantor, says the first verse, and then everybody joins in with him with the whole Shema, not just with the first verse. And they already know it, so he doesn't have to lead them in. It's all in unison. It's not going back and forth like a refrain. So, according to Rabbi Nehemiah, Moses starts with the whole people join in right away. And they sing the whole thing together with them. But then the question is, according to that third opinion, how did they know the words? Who taught them? They didn't have it in front of them. It doesn't say anywhere that Moses taught them what to say. So then we would have to assume that the same prophecy that gave Moses this song on the sea, which is in the Torah, was the same prophecy that came to the people to sing along with him. Okay, based on this, I see this interesting discussion from the 2nd century Tanaim about how Moses and the Jews said the song on the sea, because it does say, Vayomru lemor, and they said, and they spoke, and they're trying, the whole discussion is, what is the meaning of the words that they said and they spoke? Meaning, how did it go back and forth between Moses and people? So in my opinion, this is 3 types of leadership. I mean, you can understand it as a paradigm for 3 types of leadership. There is the leadership where the leader just is talking and leads, and the people come back with a refrain saying, yes, yes, we're there, we're with you. But the leader is leading and the people are following. That's okay. If you're a strong leader and you know how to lead and you get the people to follow you, there is what to say about that. Not everybody's able to do that. Moses, with his unusual abilities that God gave him, he could be like that. The second type of leadership, Moses says, and they respond. He says, they respond. What he says, they respond. It's sort of this give and take between the leader and the people. Meaning it's not just the leader and they're following, but there's a certain give and take between the leader and the people, certain resonance between the two. And this is also a very good type of leadership if you can get the people to resonate with you. And then the third type of leadership is a very difficult one, because it means bringing the people up to the level that they share in your vision, that they actually understand what you want, where you're going, and they now believe in it. That's the highest form of leadership, where the leader can actually educate the people of their vision and get them involved and enthusiastic about it. That's very unusual. So that's what Rabbi Nechemia says, that Moses was able to have them share in that prophecy somehow. Obviously, God wanted that too. And that should be a paradigm for leadership, to be able to get people excited and enthusiastic about a message of tomorrow that can start today. Shalom, shalom.